Good morning. This is Carlos Samaniego once again on our morning podcast, The Tax Debt Consultant, and welcome YouTube viewers. Today we're going to talk about a very important subject, and that important subject is dealing with taxes and spouses. This is one subject that you have to be partners when it comes to taxes and your spouse. And I highly recommend this coming from a person who and I talk about it in my upcoming book, how my spouse did not know how long I had not filed taxes. And this is a very common thing. I see this all the time. And today I'm going to talk about specifically a case I had and still dealing with right now in regards to one spouse and the tax situation that is going on. And always remember, if you have tax questions, tax problems that you want to talk to somebody about, go over to taxdebtconsultant.com and book an appointment. But let's talk about taxes and spouses. I'm going to give you the classic scenario, and this is the scenario I'm dealing with one client. Is one of the spouses came into my office very concerned and stressed out because taxes hadn't been filed in a few years, as far as she knew. The taxes were not filed, and during my interview process, I asked, "Well, what's going on? Why the non-filing?" And it was the other spouse took care of all the finances, took care of all the tax stuff, and this person didn't have to deal with it because the other spouse dealt with it. So, the spouse ended up getting sick and was not able to do taxes, and they didn't file because she didn't know what to do. So, during my interview process, as you'll get to know when you come into my office, we sit down. I do what's called a power of attorney because I'm doing what's called an investigation of liability to find out what is the real story that's going on. What does the IRS know about you? What's happening? Well, I get off the phone with the IRS and find out that this individual, there's been no returns filed since 2005. What is that? 13, we're in 18, and we're in 19. That's 14 years ago. No taxes filed for this individual in 14 years. In fact, in 4 of those years, the IRS filed what's called a substitute for return because the individual didn't file a tax return. And what happens if the IRS gets W-2s, 1099s, statements from mortgage company, they will file a return for you. It's called a substitute for return because you're not filing them, which is not a good thing. And that's a whole other subject we'll talk about. But this individual, again, no tax returns in 14 years. IRS filed substitute for returns for 4 of those years. And there was 1 year in 2012. So I say no tax returns in 14 years, but there was one return filed in 2012 where this individual was on a joint return, I would imagine, with the other spouse. Imagine that. Imagine that you're the spouse that thinks that all the taxes are being taken care of and nothing to worry about. They just handle it. Whether it's whether it's one spouse or another, you're totally reliant on them knowing everything is done. Now, when this individual finds out 14 years of unfiled tax returns, it's going to be a wake-up call, and there's going to be a lot of work that has to get done to get back into compliance. Is that happening to you right now? Do you know? Have you signed your tax returns every single year when it's time to do taxes? Do you go down and sit down with the tax preparer and actually sign the tax return? Do you know what's happening on your tax return? Now, this is kind of a very common situation, and my best advice to you is just when it's time to do taxes, go sit down with the tax person, sign the tax return. If you're doing it individually, if you're self-preparing, Make sure you see a copy of the tax return. Make sure you see your name on the tax return. Because what you don't want is having to come to my office to find out you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14 years of unfiled tax returns. But if you do find that out, our office is here to help. TaxDebtConsultant.com. You can book an appointment or give us a call, obviously, at 909-797-0790. Oh, correction. 909-570-1103. 909-570-1103. If you don't know what's going on, come sit down in my office. Let's talk. We can find out if those tax returns are being filed for you. I'm sad. I'm sad that this person is going through this. It's going to be, it's a big wake-up call for them. Now they know, the person specifically said, I wish they would have, I wish I would have kind of looked at this on a yearly basis. Anyways, that's it for today. And I got quite a few appointments today dealing with unfiled tax returns and some past due tax returns, past due debts that we got to figure out. Always looking forward to talking with you guys, and looking forward to talking with you again soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye.